Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today, we are back in Bands of Mourning for chapters 24, 25, 26, and 27, wherein they get into the temple, but Wax's uncle has arrived to make things more complicated. There is a sudden but inevitable betrayal, and Wax dies. So, I'm Data, and with me is...
Jack.
And it's Joe, I'm back. Hello.
Yay.
Joe's back, but we lost Jaymee this week. She's not feeling well. She's not talky. So.
We've had plagues through the house. Goddamn plagues. Not COVID, thank God.
But at least she can finally read the next section after this is finally done. So she'll be excited about that part at least. So hang on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
Revolution holds us bound. Come on down to London town. Break your back for class and crown. Come on down to London town. Steam train running on a restless rail. Speeding right into the rising gale. Shovel harder 'cause we're on your tail. London's bloody cry.
So yeah, we're getting towards the end of the book, so chapters are flying rapidly. 4 chapters this time. What did you guys think of these 4?
God damn. So much shit happened in this, and we're like, finally, it happened. We all fucking called it. Telson's secret bad guy. Nailed it.
Yep, sure did.
Take that. Beyond that, it's like, you know, nice to see a lot of Edwan. Got a whole lot of him just traveling around chatting with people, so that was, you know, a bit of a different perspective. It wasn't just him and Wax talking to each other. So that was fun. And yeah, that ending that you left us on for a fucking month. God damn. I mean, you know, it's not the end of the book, and there's another book coming, so I think we can safely say something is going to come of that. Like, he's not going to be dead. There will be, like, you know, there's going to be a different choice of words, or Harmony's going to, you know, do some magical voodoo shit. But yeah, god damn, there was a whole lot going on in these chapters.
The next book will be like a 5-year time jump, and like Wayne will be married to Steris, and Wax will be, you know, he died. So
Ew.
Yeah, of all the things that were likely to happen, I'd say Wayne being married to Steris is pretty unlikely. But these chapters were good. Yeah, I kind of agree with Dak. The sting of the sudden but inevitable betrayal, and the sting of even Wax being dead, comes as a little less, I guess, potent, knowing what we know about, you know, the fact that there's another book. I very much doubt they would make another book if Wax died for like all time at this point. So yeah, some kind of crazy magic's bound to happen, I would assume. But yeah, I think the thing I disliked the most was how much Melan was put through in these chapters, and then she got turned into a pile of goo. That really sucked. But yeah, like, they basically made her do all the traps, and it was like breaking her crystal bones and stuff. I was like, man, this really sucks. And then, yeah, the Edwarn stuff, the Telson stuff, I mean, all stuff we kind of predicted, I feel like. But other than that, I think each of the beats were good. They were definitely deserved, warranted, earned. I didn't feel like anything was too quick in this book overall, or in these chapters as a whole. I feel like every moment I feel like was very earned. So yeah, it was definitely an enjoyable read. I did not have to worry about wondering what was going to happen for a month, because I was obviously thinking about other things going into these last few weeks, so I didn't bother to read it until today. So I was fine. I didn't know that the end of the chapter was that Wax is dead. So I think I'm good. So anyway, but yeah, I liked it a lot.
yeah, Melan gets put through all. She doesn't seem to mind all that much until the end, but
yeah, I know, but still, it's rough, man. Like,
Yeah,
I would imagine those
harsh.
crystal bones are kind of not easy to make, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should have put in some less valuable bones before going through all the traps.
Yeah, I'd assume that the crystal ones were hardier than actual bone, but maybe not. I don't know.
It's an interesting
I mean,
point.
she wouldn't want to crush, you know, you wouldn't want to get Breeze's hands crushed or something like that. So
Oh, that was that other guy who had those.
I know who it was. I was making
Bob
a joke.
point.
Chandra, whatever his name was. Yeah, it was I don't know. Yeah, I guess it's really lucky that they had her along, because that would have been a bad situation otherwise. Not even Wayne can do the stuff that Malon can do.
It's true.
He'd probably
Yeah.
say that he could, but then find some way to weasel out of it.
Probably. I like Dak's point about Edwin, though. It's like we've never really seen him interact with anyone else, so it's a different sort of show here.
I mean, we got a bit of him and Miles in the first book.
Oh, that's true.
But-
I'd forgotten about that.
But
Yeah, it was
like,
just one scene though.
Yeah, and we didn't really know who he was, what his relation was to everyone at that point. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just some guy that was described as Mr. Suit. We didn't really know much about him.
yeah,
But then we got Telson's name this time sequenced, so that was interesting.
yeah, because we like that name's come up before, and we're just like, oh, I wonder who that is, and like, oh,
Mhm.
Yep. Someone even threw out, it's like it might be Miss Sequence or whatever. And
Mhm.
yep,
turns out that is in fact the case. So there you go. And well, here, I guess we'll just get into it. I was going to start getting more specific on some of those details, but we'll just start into the chapters. There, we got a lot of chapters to cover this time.
let's roll.
Plus, at the end, Joe, you got to do. We got like new reviews and new patrons, so you're going to be busy.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
So we move into Marisi, Wayne, and Steris just hanging out, sitting outside the temple. Like, yep, we got a job, all right, just hanging out here. And everyone has weirdly different feelings about being sent out here to, hang out. Marisi is a little bit grumpy about, oh yeah, sure, you guys go and have all the adventure, do the Indiana Jones shit. I go out there and watch Wayne. Yeah, all right.
I mean,
So
fair. Someone needs to.
Someone does need to. And honestly, you don't want to leave Wayne and Steris by themselves, because that's just not going to go well.
Well, the thing is, like, it's got to be either Wax or Marisi looking after Wayne, because those are the two people he listens to. Those are the two people he respects.
Good point, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely no way Steris is going to tell Wayne what to do.
And then Marisi just digs out the conjure spike and just gonna play with it. I'm like, all right, I guess it's a little bit of a valuable thing to just be fiddling with, but whatever. And she's thinking about the Lord Ruler being a horrible monster and killing people to create the conjurer, but also helping save Alec's people. So he's got good and bad qualities.
Yeah, still don't buy that was him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know we've had some different theories about what's going on down there.
I think all our theories amounted to that was literally anyone except him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anybody except the guy they say it is. That's who it was.
It's time traveling Wax. That's who it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh, wow. Is this like that one book where the guy becomes his own dad? What's that book? It's no, that's where he becomes his own grandpa. No, this book was written by the guy who wrote Fight Club, Chuck Palahniuk. And,
I didn't know he did a time travel book.
Yeah, it's a weird book. It's like somehow rabies lets him travel through time. It's real strange.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you gotta check it out. I don't remember the name of it, but it's pretty wackadoodle. But yeah, like the guy ends up being his own dad at the end of the book. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, that one.
It's called, the full title is Rant, an Oral Biography of Buster Casey, is what this says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a weird book. I was on a real kick of his for his books right around the time I finished high school. I was like most young men. I was a fan of Fight Club, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll read the actual book, Fight Club. I bet that's pretty good. And I was like, yeah, that is pretty good. Let me see what else he's written. And I think I ended my Chuck Palahniuk love when I read Pygmy, because it was extremely weird and hard to read. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? I guess I'm done with him.
Yeah, fair.
This is the weirdest book description.
Dude, the description is nothing next to the actual book. I would say read it just based on how messed up it is.
There's no way I'm gonna read something this messed up. So
it's crazy.
He becomes obsessed with getting bitten by rabid animals along with venomous snakes and spiders. After his first bite from a black widow, he discovers that toxic spider bites cause him to get an erection.
Yep. It's a whole thing.
The fuck.
The
It's a
fuck
whole
is exactly the okay, yeah, sorry. We're moving on. We're not even going any deeper into this.
You got to read Rant. It's great.
I'm still in the middle of my Agatha Christie kick, and so I'm gonna
Nice.
keep going down that street. I'm up to like
Yeah, she's a lot more classy than Chuck Palahniuk, that's for sure.
I think I've now finished like 11 of her books, so
Oh,
I
wow.
just keep going.
Nice.
Okay, sorry. Back to this thing. So Wayne tells her, "Be careful, don't brick yourself with that and turn into a conjurer." And she's like, "Yeah, I don't think that's how that works." And Wayne's like, "Well, I mean, you don't know. I think I should carry it just in case." And she's like, "No, you would just trade it for something." And he's like, "No, I wouldn't. Why? Did you see something good?" Stop stealing things, Wayne. Trading, whatever.
Mm.
And then there's an interesting discussion with Steris where she's trying to quantify her uselessness. And Mara says, like, "Oh, it's okay, Steris. And she's like, no, you don't understand. I'm not like upset about it. I'm just trying to get an exact idea of how useless I am and in what ways so I can improve."
Yeah, I need to see where I'm at to see how far I need to go.
And
Yeah,
Mara says,
fair.
just like, all right. I also like that she's rated the usefulness of everyone on the trip. Wax is 100. Malon is 100. Wayne is 75. Marisai beats out Wayne at 83, which I don't
Nice.
know that I agree necessarily, but I don't like super disagree either. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, maybe she outranks Wayne based on her controlled usefulness, because Wayne is very useful, but I feel like he's very hard to channel.
Yeah.
That's a good point. You'd lose points because
Because
Yeah.
of how chaotic he can be.
And then also Steris doesn't like Wayne, so that may also
yeah, that was gonna be my thing. It's just she
bring
just
some points
dislikes
down.
him. So.
I mean,
And
yeah, but I feel like Marisai at least is focused on goals, whereas Wayne's just kind of like, let's do whatever.
Also, knowing Marisol, she's probably said like, well, like some of Wayne's skills comes in his fighting ability, but his fighting ability isn't as good as Wax's, so Wax is therefore more useful in that regard, and Wayne doesn't get points for that.
Maybe.
I mean, they got different styles of fighting, sure, but yeah.
And she rated herself at a 7. Yet she's like, because sometimes I contribute a little something.
Lady, you hoisted like a broomstick on top of a train. Like, don't,
Yeah, it's
that's,
great.
that is not a mere 7.
Well, I mean,
threw up. That's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
In the process of like saving Wax with the giant shotgun, she did accidentally throw herself off the train and need to be rescued. So I don't know how well you can count that.
I mean,
Yeah,
come
but I was
on.
talking about the time
Wayne
she
would have done
threw
the
up.
same.
Yeah, the throwing up was very useful.
Yeah. Ipecac or whatever she had.
Yeah.
And then we slide into kind of like she's very, organized and logical about the whole thing. And then as they talk, she slips into like this very kind of romantic worldview where she's talking about like Wax and how she sees like her world when she's around him. And it's actually really sweet. And Marissa's like, "Oh my gosh, you love him, don't you?" And she tries to be like, "Well, love is." And Marissa's like, "Steris," and she's like, "Yes, I do."
You actually love him, don't you? I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
And I like Steris is like, "It's foolish, isn't it?" And Marissa goes, "Well, yeah, I mean, love's always foolish. That's what makes it work." So this is a fun sister conversation that I don't know that they've ever had a conversation that this personal before.
Yeah, we have, again, that's like, this is despite their family connection, we haven't really seen the two of them just interact isolated from anyone else before.
Yeah, and from how Marisai has like referenced it, I'm not sure how much they have, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
She talks about how Steris didn't even know about her until she was 16, and since then Marisai's always been kind of like this awkward, like, how do you fit into this family or whatever. So
Yeah, I mean, that would be hard for anybody, I think, especially in Steris' position to compute, because based on who she is, her identity, all that kind of stuff, I'm sure any kind of change is pretty difficult. So it might be easier. It might have been easier for her to just kind of ignore it. I don't know.
And then Marisai goes to talk to Wayne. It's like, my long-held assumptions have just been shattered. And Wayne says something about, so do sisters ever really like get sexy with one another, or does that only happen in pub songs? And Marissa's like, "Oh my god, thank you for restoring my ability to trust my judgment, Wayne."
Wayne.
Way to destroy the moment, Wayne. And then Wayne gets actually real clever for a second, where he's like, you know what? Because they're watching the lights of Suit's party slowly progressing. He's like, you know, if I knew I'd been spotted, then I might try to sneak up on someone by leaving the lights behind to make it seem like I'm going real slow.
It's like, I need to act clever. I just made an incest joke.
Yeah. And so they're like, okay, it's time to call Wax. And somebody approaches waving a flag with an X, which is apparently the symbol for parlay. And then we cut back to the Wax and the crew inside with Meilon triggering traps. They've got a rope tied around her for when she falls into a pit trap, and they're pulling her back out. And she's looking a little ragged. Her clothes are all messed up. The left trouser leg ripped completely off at the thigh, so I don't know if like an axe chopped her leg off for a minute there or something.
Jesus. She puts up with some shit.
She really does. But she mentions that they figured out how to like turn off their pain receptors, basically, which, man, that would have been useful for like Tensoon had the whole thing about how his masters beat him just because they knew that he could survive the pain or whatever. So.
And Wax makes a point several times to be like, maybe she's lying about that, but I guess I would not. I mean, how would I know?
I don't know if she has a reason to lie, but yeah, I mean, you know, she could be, obviously. And she says, and her bones are crystal, so the bones can't feel. So that might be a good reason not to use regular bones. If regular bones do have nerves that let you feel, you don't want to get broken.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he's feeling real bad about this. He's like, come on, we can find another way. Maybe we'll dig through the walls up here or something instead. And she's like, no, that'll take too long. Come on. We don't have that much time. But Wax has figured out the pattern, he thinks. And he's figured out how to spot the traps and what each of the triggers means for what that trap is. So he's like, you can trigger that dart trap over there. That other one is a wall trap. A big spiked log pops out. And then he's wrong about the last one, which he says is a pit trap. But when she triggers that one, which apparently the pits really go far down. She says, I hate those. They just keep going down. Makes me afraid of what might be at the bottom. Jeez, how much trouble must this place have been to build for like these priests? Holy crap.
Imagine just lugging all the materials you need up the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, if you've got allomancy, it might be easier. I don't know.
True.
I mean, yeah, moving blocks or whatever up the mountain, or moving like, you know, a log that you've put spikes in up the mountain, that's tough. That's one thing. But apparently they had to dig shafts for these pit traps straight down into the mountain. I don't even know how allomancy could help with that.
Yeah, well, you know those big like drill thingies that sort of spiral downwards. Like you get one of those, and you just get a whole bunch of coin shots pushing at the top end.
Oh yeah, you push to twist. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And we know these guys have interesting technology that is unknown to the people in the basin. So who knows what kind of things they might have that could help with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But this last one is not a pit one. Basically, a big block of ice drops down. And Meilon's like, what the hell is that? And Wax is like, maybe it was acid? It looks like it was stored up there as a liquid and then separated over time, and part of it froze. And Meilon just stares for a long time. He's like, what? She did nothing. So I don't know if she may just not want to reveal that acid can kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would assume that that's a Khandra secret that they don't try to get out there.
Yeah. Or I do wonder if she thinks for a second, like, did someone build this trap specifically to catch Khandra?
Maybe.
So.
Yeah, probably both. I mean, if it really was acid, why else specifically would you need acid if not to kill a Khandra? I mean, you can kill a person with acid, but it's more likely that you'd kill a Khandra with it.
But if it's also like one of the last traps along, maybe they assumed like, yeah, Khandra could make it past any of this, so this one will get them.
Yep, or maybe even like, we've lulled a Khandra into a false sense of security this far. Now you trick them, you nail them.
Yeah.
But who knows if the Southern Scadrians even knew about Khandra? I mean, whoever, the Lord Ruler or whoever it was, may have known about Khandra. I mean, if it was Lord Ruler, obviously he did know about Khandra. He created them. So that's just a weird, like, maybe he knew.
I feel like I've forgotten something. Shit, my blob monsters.
Yeah. Oh yeah, those guys I make with 2 spikes, but not the big guys with the stretchy skin. The other guys that turn into people.
Then they find a big door. And inlaid in the door are circles with symbols. And Alec does not recognize them. Nobody recognizes these symbols. Which, I really want to know at this point. I'm like, can you show us the symbols? Like, I want to know, because in a little bit they're going to push them. They have the secret code, and Edward's like, the sovereign was supposed to know what these meant. So I'm like, well, now I want to know what they look like. Like, maybe I know what they mean.
Right. Yeah, and they only describe like one of them, so it really doesn't really tell us anything.
Then Wax and Telson have kind of an odd conversation where she's like, do you ever wonder how you got where you are? And she's just like, I've over half my life is gone. Shouldn't I have a clue what it's all about? I do wonder how honest this statement is. Like, is she trying to connect with him? Is she telling the truth despite, the fact that we know she's on the other side? Or is this all bullshit?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of struck me as genuine at first, but then I thought, well, I mean, maybe it's not. I mean, I really couldn't tell. I don't really understand the purpose of the conversation if it's ingenuine to make a false connection through this sort of conversation. Seems a little confusing to me, especially because internally Wax is like, no.
Yeah,
it's just kind of funny.
I don't feel like an adult pretending, or a kid pretending to be an adult. I am an adult. I have had adult all for a long time.
Yeah.
I've seen some shit.
He has seen some shit though, so
it's true. He killed his girlfriend twice.
Wife.
Yeah, same, whatever.
But yeah, I wonder what kind of shit she's seen. I don't really know. Yeah, so they've gotten to the end of all the traps and can't figure out how to go forward. So they're like, okay, let's go back and regroup. And this whole time, Wax is just bothered by this entire setup. He's like, why are we in an Indiana Jones movie? Does this really make sense for like what the priests would build for the sovereign to come back and find his shit? And Alec tries to argue. He's like, oh, I mean, the sovereign wouldn't be hurt by traps. Obviously, duh. So it's a declaration and a challenge, like I said. And he's like, this is exactly, Wax basically comes down to, this is exactly what you'd expect from like an adventure book type thing, like a temple up in the mountains with all these traps. Maybe it's too close to like the stereotype of this sort of thing, basically.
That's the misdirect. You think, oh, if I can get past all these traps, the treasure has to be at the end. When in reality, it's in Wayne's pocket.
Well, the treasure was not at the end. We definitely learned that much.
Oh, I'm still banking on. Yep.
Oh yeah, I feel like they're definitely teasing us towards it, especially at the end here with Wax's realization. Yeah, for sure. And especially with the bad guys picking up and being like, "What is this? It's not good for anything."
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that does seem to call it out pretty heavily, doesn't it? To like, hey, why are they talking about this thing?
Yep. It's like, why are you giving so much focus to this if it's just junk?
But I love Wayne's line where he's like, Wax, your uncle's here. And Wayne waxes how close he goes. Like, on our doorstep and demanding rent money close. We captured him. Like, he walked right up to us carrying a flag, and he wants to talk to you. Which is also a good chapter end, I feel like. That would have been an okay place for a stop if it hadn't been the next chapter. And so Wax and Edwin have a bit of a conversation where Wax is just like, ha, now I've got you. And Edwin's like, yeah, okay, sure. If you keep telling yourself that, but you're not getting out of here. We have you surrounded. I've got 20 allomancers and ferrochemists out there. We found your ship that you buried under the snow, so you're not leaving here. You have me surrounded, but I have you surrounded also, so, Also, apparently they figured out how to force the others to talk, so they found the translator medallion or something at some point. And Wax is trying to be like, what? The medallions? And he's like, don't act stupid. Like, we could figure out what they did from the types of metal. Which, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And Edward says that he came here to find a weapon. And it's interesting because we find out, like, kind of later on that he's not saying that they came here for the Bands of Mourning, because that's maybe not the main idea that they came here for. And so it's kind of a hint at that at this point, but I don't think Wax or anyone else recognizes that. And so he says he came to negotiate. And so what he wants is basically, he's like, I see you stole one of my savages. That's nice. But he's like, look, we have information. I'm sure you found the door if you've gotten past all the traps. I can help you open the door. I also like his note that he's like, look, I'm not that important to the set that you can get out of here by threatening me. They will shoot through me to get to you. That's the first hint we've got, that he's not necessarily all that high up in the set, at least compared to some other people.
I mean, it's partly that. It also partly could be a bluff.
I was about to say, or it could be bullshit. Yep. And so he's like, yeah, you know, you found the door. And Alec's like, how do you know about that? And it turns out Alec's captain knew a little bit more than she was saying. She was apparently piloted a group of of hunters when she was a sub-captain, got them drinking and got their secret that they were planning on returning here for a prize. So basically, Wax's logical leaps earlier, where he figured out this whole conspiracy, was basically right on target.
Yeah, he's always been good at undoing the knots and like, no, this is how the crime happened.
Yep, he's a good investigator. He's more Batman over and over again.
He's too good. I think he's in on it.
Wouldn't that be a dramatic twist?
Yeah, it would. And I like Telson is like, don't trust him. He'll trick you. He'll win. He always wins. And Wax does not listen to that, which almost feels like she's trying to give him a hint. But so he agrees. Edwin will help them get through the door, and then they will let him go in and find the whatever's inside with them. And so we get back to the door. Edwin's basically says, okay, so push that one with Allomancy, and the triangular shaped one, and then finally this one. Because all we get is that there's a triangular shape on one of them. So it's a 3-digit combination. But if you get it wrong, there's a clock in there that won't let you try again for 10 years. Which, geez, all right.
Again, it's like, as long as it's still working. I mean, the acid block froze, so
It's true.
No.
And I like Edwin's whole thing where after the door's open, he's like, I worked very long and hard to find this place. It's unfitting that another should pass the door before me. And Wax says, tough. And goes in, or sends Meilon in to see if there's more traps, which that's really the smart move. I guess you could have let your uncle go in first and experience traps. And then Wax threatens to take his uncle back to Ellendale and force him to talk. He's like, oh, you're going to beat me up, huh? I follow the law, Wax says. And he's like, well, yeah, but the law can be changed or bent to suit your needs. It's like, really? I mean, I'm not any different than your Senate that, creates whatever rules suit them. The difference between good and evil men is not found in the acts they are willing to commit, but merely in what name they are willing to commit them. Which is a very dour outlook, and I don't necessarily agree with you here.
that's a deep rabbit hole you could spend a lot of time falling down.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that rhetoric in real life I've always heard from people that are like conspiracy theorists and just people that generally don't use a lot of good logic.
Well, I mean, basically he makes an assumption that Wax would see like senators who are also doing this, who are doing basically the same thing, because that part we know is like there's a lot of shady politics going on in Ellendale. But you're like, you think those men are good and I'm evil, and I'm like, well, no, he probably doesn't think those men are very good either. Like Wax grinds his teeth and his eyes twitching. He's like, I really don't like this guy. And they get in there. There's a pedestal topped with red velvet and a golden rack, and it's empty. There was a glass case that is now shattered on the floor, but there's nothing here. And Wax goes, gone. Somebody beat us here. Which, if that's what happened, they were much better at getting past traps than you.
Yes. That's like, anytime they even think that for a second, my mind goes to like, dude, what are you talking about? Did you see all those traps? There's no way that they got through all of those traps, didn't set off any, and got the shit. Like, doesn't make any sense, man.
Like, is it either that or they, like, after they got the thing, they went and reset all the traps?
There's a secret back door, is I think a much more likely explanation. That would be hilarious, actually, if like there's text at the beginning or at the entrance to the temple that only the Sovereign would be able to read, and it's like, don't enter this way, go around back and like hit the secret button, and there's no traps.
That would be fucking funny though.
Yeah. Hey, boss. There's a secret door in the back. You just speak friend and enter.
It's like they're looking at this sign. It's written in this mystical language none of them recognize, and then like they put on the translator thing. It's like, oh, this just says no entry.
it's, it's like deliveries only. But yes, I do like that at the beginning of the next chapter, when they discover that the bands of mourning have been taken, everyone looks at Wayne. He's like, hey, what? Why is everybody looking at me? And Marasai goes, just a natural reaction.
See, I like to imagine even Edwan is looking at him, and Wayne's just like, dude, you don't even know me.
Yeah. Like, the fuck, man?
And Tilson, like they're both just staring at him, just like, and he's just going, just like, what the fuck? Like, we barely met.
Yeah. And I know that Wayne is described as short, but I did kind of think it was funny that Telson and Edwarn both are just like the short one.
Yep. I was gonna say they call him the short one. I'm like, that's kind of like random and mean. Like,
Yeah.
he has a
It's like,
name,
I know,
and you know his name.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know who he is. He's been hanging out with Wax for years. Like, your intel has told you his name. You're just gonna continue to call him the short one. I don't. Do you call Wax the tall one when he's not around? I'm confused.
Well, so maybe it's like they don't know what his real name is because he keeps changing identities every time he puts on a disguise, and it's like,
Yeah.
is this the real
I
name?
mean,
No.
I would have to guess that it's just based on them thinking he's so beneath them that they're just not even going to refer to him by his name, and they're just going to call him the short one.
I'm just spitballing here.
Oh yeah, no.
What's his name? Krillin?
Owned. So Wax tells everyone, like, hey, be careful. There's pit traps on either side of this, and also that spot over there, a sharpened blade will come down from the ceiling. And because Steris and Wayne and Marasai weren't here for the whole him figuring out the traps thing, Steris is like, how does he know that? And Wayne is just like, Wax has a natural affinity for things that kill people, or for things what kill people. And Wax looks at the glass, and there's a lot of dust. He's like, okay, whoever did this, it was a long time ago that they got in here and stole this stuff. And Telson is the one who's like, how's this even possible? And Melan suggests, like, well, I mean, if you'd secretly stolen it, would you just leave it open, or would you reset all the traps and sneak out? And Wax is like, no. No one is going to reset the traps. Like, somebody comes in here, gets, like, this super valuable artifact. They're not going to waste their time going back and redoing all of it.
Going back, it's like every single dart trap they've passed, just pulling the darts out of the wall. And it's like,
Yeah.
Okay, put this back in here. There. I gotta lift this rock back into the ceiling. Shit.
Yeah. And then they're just like, shit, I just set it off again. Now I gotta redo it again. Okay.
Got to refill the acid vat.
Yeah, that's why it's all frozen. I didn't mix it right. But, it's my first time mixing acid. What did you expect?
And so Edwin says, like, oh, this is a disappointment. All right, time to end this. And Wax pulls out his gun and points it at his sister, just as she's reaching and pulling out her own aluminum gun. And he says, Telson, and she goes, I'm sorry, Wax, Cilium. And he says, don't do this. And he shoots at her. She shoots at him. His bullet gets pushed out of the way by Allomancy, while her shot takes him in the neck, which is not a good place to get shot. I mean, no place is a great place to get shot, but the neck is not the choice that you're gonna want to make if you have to.
Yeah, it's not ideal. There's a good amount of blood that goes through the neck.
Yep, a lot of large blood vessels, as well as, like, stuff that you need to breathe, and your spinal column. There's just all sorts of stuff in a very small area, basically. But yeah, and Marasai also shoots at Suit, but her bullet also veers away via Allomancy. And then her weapon flies out of her hand. And so, yeah, this is not... they're at more of a disadvantage than they anticipated. Edwin was an Allomancer. Telson was in the set. This is bad.
Yeah.
Wayne goes after Suit with his canes and smacks him, but Edwin doesn't even flinch, it says, and then uses his own cane with its bands of metal to push against Wayne. And then Marasai tries to go for Suit, and her metal reserves disappear as she grabs him. But not only is Suit an Allomancer, but he has definitely more than one power going on here, which we do find out more about later. I'm sorry, Telson is the one who causes her metal reserves to disappear when she tosses another one of those cubes at them. But Telson also has some powers happening. And then Wayne gets hit by a bunch of coins. That's not fun. Wax stumbles over and sets off the pit trap and falls. And Suit is calling to keep Wayne down. But apparently Telson's not a great shot. So they hit Wayne several times, but he has his nice super full metal mind, so he does not go down. And he makes it out. And Suit's like, Wayne, come back or I'll kill the others. But Wayne is not coming back. So, and they have an interesting conversation where he's like, I'll do it. And Telson's like, what, you think he actually cares about that? And Suit says, honestly, I can't tell with that one. Like, he's so weird. But he does not kill Marasai when Wayne doesn't come back. So that's nice. And while all this is happening, Meilon has gotten hit with some of that stuff that makes the Kandra lose their form for a bit. And Telson says that was bungled. And Edward's like, what? I thought it went well. And she's like, I let Wax Cillian escape. And he goes, you shot him thrice. Which I like to see somebody using the word thrice. I appreciate that.
It doesn't come up as often as you might think.
Right? And so he's like, he's as good as dead. And Telson says, are you going to trust that? And everyone sighs. And he's like, no.
3 shall be the number of the shooting, and the number of the shooting shall be 3.
And so then Telson starts digging in Meilon and pulls out some of her spikes, that's mean. But, I guess you got to do what you got to do. And so Telson points at the pit where Wax fell and goes, chase him down. And Suit's like, me? Surely we can wait for... And she goes, no. You know him best. He's still alive. I've met rocks less durable than my brother. And Suit sighs, and he's like, okay, fine. So clearly she is in charge here.
Yep.
And then here we go. The other guys start coming in, and she goes, the short one. Wayne, did you pass him? So I guess she does use his name at least. And they're like, no, we didn't see anybody out there. And so, I mean... At this point, I'm curious about what's up with Wayne because, there weren't a whole lot of hiding places that we know of in that long hallway. So it's like, wait, where'd he go?
Yeah. Well, we find out later he fell in a hole, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me the first time. I'm like, well, how did Wayne disappear? Oh, he just went down a hole. All right. Because who would do that? I mean, Wayne's just crazy. So
Doesn't sound like it was intentional.
He did the Wile E. Coyote thing. He's just run off the edge, looked around, felt around with his feet, just gone, oh no. Pew!
Yep.
Hold
Gets
on.
impaled by some spikes.
We're moving into chapter 27, the last of these 4 chapters. Wax is in darkness. He fell down a big pit, which can't have been fun. He remembered ramming into one of the curves, which that doesn't sound like a pleasant... you don't describe it as ramming if it was any good. And I like the questions like, how can your vision swim when you can't even see anything?
Oh, I've been there, man. You remember I had a concussion real bad one time, and I had bad vertigo, and I even when my eyes were closed and it was dark, I could feel everything spinning.
Ugh.
It was not great. Not great.
And we're getting these brief little flashes back to what we saw in his past that night in the village, where it's like, no, he'll tell on us. He will. Or, you're coming? Of course you're not coming. You never want to risk trouble. And then he finds that where he is, there's like a dais. Oh, I'm sorry. The dais up above. He starts figuring out. He's like, the bands had never been there. They left the broken glass. You could tell from the pieces that the glass box was too big to fit on that pedestal. Which there's some good detectiving.
Say that's when he's used that Arkham Knight VR time reversal stuff to just wind it back. It's like, now wait a minute.
Super detective vision with replayability.
Yeah.
He's been deposited down here where he finds a soft blue light and he drags himself over. And as he's he thinks that this shot is real bad. He's been shot 3 times, but the one in the neck is the worst one. And he's like, Harmony. And then he thinks to himself, now I'm praying? What about my hatred?
Funny what gunshots can do to a guy.
Right. And there's another trap down here that he almost stumbles across, but he's got enough sense left or enough attention left after all the blood loss to avoid that one. And he finds corpses, rows of frozen dudes with masks in their laps in 4 concentric rings, looking at the light. And he's like, this is them. This is those priests who built the place. And there's another pedestal down here, a smaller one, a little light, revealing a set of metal bracers. Not fancy, but, when it's surrounded by a bunch of dead guys giving reverence, you don't need them to be particularly fancy to call attention to them. But Edwin is down here also. And he's like, I know you're here. It's quite a trail of blood you're leaving. Which, yeah, it would be. And he's like, how long has Telson been working with them? He hated that he'd guessed that his first instinct, even if he'd been right, had been to pull a gun on his only sibling. It just made too much sense. Soot wouldn't have come down here if he didn't have a mole, if he didn't have the upper hand in some way. She'd caused Wayne to knock the backpack out of the door. She'd killed the brute at the warehouse. I don't remember if anyone called that out when the backpack got knocked out. It's like Telson bumps Wayne knocks the backpack out, and then Telson's like, this idiot just knocked a backpack on top of them and let them know that we're here.
I feel like someone might have, but I could be misremembering that. That was a while ago.
It was a while ago. But yeah, that was, when I first read the book, that was one of the big hints for me, where I'm like, you did that. Although Wayne totally accepts, he's like, no, I'm sorry. At the time, Wayne blames it on Wax. He's like, well, if Wax hadn't woken me up so soon, then I wouldn't have accidentally bumped into this thing. And so Wax is thinking, I got to get those bracers. And Suit's like, I did try to protect you. And Wax is like, what'd you do to my sister? And he's like, dude, she recruited me. Which makes sense since she apparently outranks him. I buy that. And Suit has a whole other speech, which is, really more of the same that he's been kind of saying. He's like, the world is changing. It's not the kind of place where a guy like you can survive anymore.
Oh, God. So yesterday, just to keep the little unoccupied, we would just put animated movies on the TV, and one of them we put on was Rango. And so now reading this, the whole new world is coming where people like you don't belong. It's like, that's exactly what the bad guy said to Rattlesnake Jake.
I haven't seen that movie since it came out, I think.
Oh man, that is such an underrated movie. I love it.
I'm gonna have to go back now. I remember not loving it, but also that Johnny Depp was fun. So
Johnny Depp was fun, and Bill Nighy as Rattlesnake Jake was just the coolest thing ever.
Bill Nighy is always good. Let's be fair.
Is Lee Van Cleef as a snake, with a Gatling gun instead of a rattle. It's just the fucking coolest. You go back to hell. Where do you think I come from?
And so Edwin is like, the days of mighty men is gone, and with it, passing goes the right of Alamancers to power. No more will their gifts hinge on the whims of fate. Instead, the powers will come to those who deserve them, who can use them. Which is, he's like, I deserve, obviously, the powers. So
yeah, you deserve it, dude. That's true.
Wax tries to trick him into setting off a trap, and he's like, it's, a brash plan, but not gonna work for you. Looks like it's rigged to drop this entire section of ceiling. You'd be caught too. And Wax goes, that would have been worth it. And so he picks up something metal, and he's like, okay, how about we have a duel then, like an Alamancy duel? And Edwin says, no, I don't think so. And then he steps on the pressure plate anyway, which that's a bold move. Okay. Telson, in the meantime, is marching everyone, all her new prisoners, outside, and takes the medallion away from Maricide to make her cold, which that's just mean. But I guess it does make you less likely to try to escape if you freeze to death in the process.
Yeah, they take everybody's medallions away.
Including poor Alec.
Yeah, who definitely needs it.
Yeah. But we do see that there's a bunch of Alec's crew still alive, so that's a good thing. We knew that because Suit kind of mentioned that he had some of them, and somebody's like, Lady Sequence, we've located what we think is the weapon. And Maris is like, wait, the bands? And Telson's like, it says, she looks at her drolly. Like, the bands were like an interesting possibility, but that's not why we came here. Like, they thought maybe the bands might be here, but they knew that there was a big-ass bomb here. And so that's what they're here for. And they've got the big ship that the hunters left behind, which is actually, it didn't crash. It's still in good shape. So, hey, that's nice for them. And then she says to search them, make sure they don't have any metal, keep a watch on them. Their insurance against the short one who's still out here somewhere.
So she's really saying the short one to her men. So maybe her men just don't know his name.
Maybe. But then they're like, it was just any short guy who pops up. They're going to be like, get him.
Yeah. I kept expecting.
God, it's a hobbit.
Yeah, I kept expecting Wayne at this point to be disguised among her men.
Again, as a guard, that would have been, yeah.
And then turn the tables on everybody, but unfortunately that did not happen.
We cut back to Wax, who is getting crushed by rocks, which that's not great.
Yeah, he's having a bad day.
He is having a very bad day. And meanwhile, Suit's over here, like, he gets hurt, but he heals. He's like, you know, the trouble with heme allergy is its limitations. Yep. If you kill a guy to steal his abilities, the resulting gift to you is weakened. Did you know that? And if you spike yourself too much, you become subject to Harmony's interference. Which is weird, because he says he can only get 3 boons. So I guess he's got 3 spikes. We know he can heal. We know that he has, pushing...
my guess...
abilities. So.
Yeah, my guess is that he and Telson have the same one. So I would say either pushing or pulling, whichever it is. Healing and then the leeching. That would be my guess, but I don't know.
And one thing I will say here, and too bad Jaymee is not here for this because she's been talking about it for a while. I worry that this may be revealing to us the fate of those women that we still don't know what happened to them.
Oh, 100%. I thought about that. I was like, they killed these women to take their abilities. That's really fucked up.
Yeah. No. Kind of hope I might be wrong, but that seems like what we might be looking at here. And so but like I say, he talks about how he can only have 3 when we know from the past that like 2 spikes is enough for a conjurer to be taken over by Harmony. So I wonder if Harmony could take these guys over and chooses not to, but maybe he can influence you like in subtler ways if you have more spikes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Harmony is not Ruin, so whereas Ruin could be extremely suggestive when you have 1 spike in you, of course he couldn't control you, but he could be very suggestive.
Yeah.
I wonder if Harmony's power, because it's more balanced, he can't exert as much control as Ruin could through hemalurgy. Like another thing that comes to mind is maybe because the Khandra, their sentience depends almost completely on the hemalurgy.
That's a good point.
Maybe that's why he can control them more.
I mean, there's that, but he was also controlling the Inquisitors through their spikes, and they're just regular humans who got spike driven. So
yeah, but they have a bunch of spikes.
Yeah, but they have a bunch.
Yeah, true.
And
we never saw an Inquisitor with only like 3 or 4 spikes. It was just
right.
Like
they had all
the
the the full set. I don't think. I mean, I guess maybe they had quick healing. Did we?
So they had a standard set of like 7 or 8 spikes because Marsh talks about it when he pulls them out to make them collapse. But I think later on we do find it, and maybe it was in the 3rd book in like the epigraphs.
Mm-hmm.
I think we find out that they did heal quickly and it required them to rest a lot. And so, and like Sazed mentions that it's like, that's why like they were always like, they were napping or whatever.
That's right. I remember them talking about that. That sounds more like a ferrochemical ability though.
I mean, maybe they had some ferrochemical abilities that.
Well, we know that Marsh did or does.
Yeah.
Well, there was that. The prologue in Hero of Ages was them like abducting all the people with ferrochemical abilities and spiking.
Right. They definitely were adding ferrochemical abilities later on. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know if the original Lord Rulers Inquisitors were like that, because I think he was trying to kind of keep them away from having the ferrochemical powers.
He was trying to get rid of ferrochemy entirely. So
he was he had them with the abilities that were useful to him, but he didn't want to make them too powerful in case they might lead them to overthrow him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's like during the whole book of Well of Ascension, like we later find out that's where the Inquisitors went. They went up to the Terrace land and attacked them to presumably get the ferrochemists.
Yeah. I do think that was probably one of the most interesting things in the original trilogy to me was in that first book when the Inquisitors are like, come on, these obligates aren't doing a good job. Let us be in charge. The rulers finally like, okay, fine, do whatever. I don't care anymore.
I'm so tired of your crap.
So exasperated by the competitiveness between the Inquisitors and Obligators that he's just like, fine, whatever.
Maybe he was like, in hindsight, like he knew the power was coming back to the well and what he would have to do. So he's like, I'm just about to burn the whole place down and start over again anyway. So what the hell,
Yeah.
guys?
It's very possible.
So so Suit, he grabs the bands and he's like, "Behold, today I become a god." And then nothing happens. He's like, crap, they're drained. After all this time, it was just, what a waste.
I love that anticlimactic moment. It's like, I will become a god. And it's funny because, us going into it, we already had our theories that it wasn't going to be here, or wasn't, that that they weren't going to find the actual bands of mourning in the way they thought they were going to find them.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like kind of expecting it, but I often wonder, like, does somebody go into this reading that they think it's actually going to be the actual bands, and then they get that moment of like laughter at him because it wasn't,
I 100% was not theorizing about when I first read about the bands being somewhere else or something else. I was along for the ride. I was like, oh man, somebody took the bands. And then when he finds this other, I'm like, oh, that's where they were secretly hiding the bands. And then they don't work. And it's like, wait, what? So yeah, I wasn't going slow enough to theorize.
Yeah.
I do like his line where he puts the gun up against Wax's head and he's like, shake Iron Eye's hand for me. I intend never to meet him. Which you must think that he's a philosophical concept or something, because you could absolutely meet him. He's wandering around out there, even if you never die.
Yeah, I don't think Edwin is caught up as our main protagonists on the actualities of all of the like gods and peoples that people kind of believe in mythologically. It's like, yeah, no, those guys are actually all real. They're not exactly what you think they are, but they're real.
It's like later on, let's assume Wax like comes back from the dead or whatever, and he meets Iron Eyes, and like, by the way, my uncle said this, and Marsh's like, fucking what? Okay.
Whatever.
Then next time Edwin comes home, Iron Eyes is just waiting for him. It's like, hi there, heard you was talking some shit.
I would love that so much.
He's like, oh no.
Like Marsh is just gonna fuck with him. He's just like, hey, what's up? That would be amazing.
He's like, get ready for the haunting of your life. I'm gonna be here every night.
It's like the ultimate moment. He comes in and Marsh is just like stealing some of his food and just walking out the door, and everyone's like, what the fuck is happening? And Marsh just looks at him and goes, no one's ever gonna believe you, and walks away.
He pulls a Bill Murray. I love that so much. Because before he can execute Wax, Wayne jumps him, and apparently Suit just takes off. And Wayne's like, yeah, he was scared to face me with my healing and such. Right, cowardly, that one. I mean, I guess we don't know how much healing Edwin has, so maybe he doesn't have enough that he wants to take on a fair fight, but it is kind of pretty cowardly, that move.
Yeah.
And so Wayne explains that he fell down one of those holes. That one ended in spikes, I'm afraid. But I climbed up after the soldiers had passed and went into this pit instead. You picked a better hole to fall in than I did, for sure. And Wax is just like, go help Steris and Marasai. And Wayne's like, no, I can't do this without you. This the living. I can't do it without you. We're gonna get you out of this. But nope, he can't do it. Cut back to Marasai, who's huddled with Steris and Alec, surrounded by armed men. The guard has her purse with that spike in it, which we're reminded is since it's hemalurgically invested, it might not register to the eyes of an allomancer looking for metals. We established, I think in the last book, that it's harder to sense and affect metals that are heavily invested. And they find the aluminum spearhead from the statue, and she's like, Wayne, I'm gonna He swapped that for her spike. He did say he wanted the spike, so I buy that.
Yeah.
And the other guard's like, I already searched that purse. There's no weapons in there. And the guy's like, what about this big piece of aluminum? Like, I mean, you can try to kill someone with that if you want. It's dull.
Your next album's gonna go aluminum.
And Suit comes back.
Superhero landing.
I watched Deadpool recently, and I love that part where he's talking about Gina Carano's character. It's like, he's like, oh, she could do a superhero landing. He's like, see, told you. It's really bad on your knees, though.
And Telson's like, so yes, my brother dead? And Suit's like, yeah, totes. Totally killed that guy. But I also ran into the short one, Which these two both know his name. So once again, we're back to like, really?
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, honestly. It's just like, dude, you know who that is. Why do you keep calling him the short one?
Saw the Hobbit.
And she asks, so you killed him? And he's like, no, I left him distracted because I figured you'd want to see these. I found the bands of mourning. They don't work though. They're out of reserves. And she's like,
I thought you'd want to see these. Don't fucking work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, they're out of reserves. It's like, Edward, how stupid are you? Do you not understand how how they're supposed to work? It's like, they can't be out.
She's like, but they grant allomancy too. So I mean, they can maybe be out of ferrochemical reserves because you do have to save stuff up, even if you have the power to use ferrochemy. And that's
but if you've got allomancy, they're not out.
Yeah. And so she's like, but they have allomancy, right? So nope, these are fake also. All right. And so she's like, so where are the real ones? Meanwhile, Wax is down there and he has figured it out without needing to see the example. He's like, no, that was too perfect. This was left here to fool us. This whole place with the stupid ass traps. I mean, what if one of those accidentally killed him? They wouldn't want to do that. So she's like, so is there another temple out here somewhere? Did they really hide it in a cave? No, it wouldn't be somewhere else. He'd need to be able to find it, but he would recognize it. It's here. It's just different. And he can't do anything with that revelation because that's when he dies. And that's the end of the chapters.
Damn.
So yeah, let's do that's a very dramatic
Gentleman
ending.
Jack will never get his revenge.
So poor Jaymee and Dak were stuck with that for a month, with Wax dying as the last thing that they got to read. But finally,
I think we mentioned in some of like the break episodes with the "Are you fucking kidding me?" without saying what it was, but it's like a "you bastard."
But yeah, so let's do some.
Guess that's my fault.
Where are we going?
No, it's his for when he planned the chapter breaks.
It is.
I guess that's true.
Predicaments. Fuck, I don't even know. I mean, yeah, like I am entirely certain that the fake spearhead, which the guy's like, oh, this thing's dull, we can't do anything with that. That's the real bands, but I don't know what they're gonna do with it, how they're gonna affect it. I don't know. Maybe Steris gets granted like full Mistborn abilities, and all of a sudden, like that curtails her perceived uselessness because all of a sudden she's the most powerful one of the bunch. Yeah, no, I'm honestly at the point. It's like I've got no idea where this is gonna go anymore. I feel like either Harmony or possibly Marsh are gonna put in an appearance because the whole this seems like the Harry Potter moment. It's like he dies. He's gonna Wax is gonna go to whatever the Alamantic King's Cross station is and meet with Harmony or Iron Eyes there, or possibly both. Maybe they're just chewing each other out when all of a sudden Wax walks in and goes, "Hey guys,
what up, y'all?"
Yeah, and then it's like, all right, well, we got to send him back because this shit's about to go down. Maybe Marsh is like, can we send him back? And Harmony's like, no, it is against the rules. And Marsh is like, I don't follow your fucking rules, dude.
You're the boss of me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just spinning bullshit here.
I like your idea about Steris. That would be amazing if all of a sudden Steris is like the most powerful being ever or whatever.
I just feel like
Super Saiyan Steris.
I feel like the whole book she's been talking about how she's not as useful as everyone else. So it's like it would be a nice way to bring that back. The flip side of that is it means you're only useful because you have powers, which I think is not the correct message to send, but it's a possibility.
Yeah. That's the message they sent with Spook though in the third book. So just saying.
Sure, well, yeah.
Oh God, I hate Spook.
Okay, what do you got for predicaments?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Dak here. Not completely sure where this is gonna go. I will say I think me and Dak generally giving the vague answer of I think some kind of crazy magic's gonna happen and Wax is gonna come back. I don't know if that's going to be immediately later on, but they're going to have to make it out of this in some way. And I feel like Wax is the one that has all the answers. So I think he's probably going to be coming back in some form or fashion. Okay. Something that's been bugging me the whole book is that they said that they keep saying that Harmony's been like distracted or busy. Yep. I'm with Dak. I hope we get some kind of King's Cross Station moment here where we get an explanation on like what the hell's going on. Like why are you allowing these things to happen? What is happening? Like are you distracted with Trell? Because we really haven't heard anything about Trell so far this entire book. So
Yeah,
like
it's kinda
what?
lapsed.
Yeah, so like what's going on? Like inquiring minds want to know. So I'm just hoping we get some answers. That that would be my hope prediction for this next part, is that we get some answers, which we are getting close to the end of the book. That's usually when answers are forthcoming.
Right.
But I just like something concrete. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens, because like let's say that Wax does immediately come back in some way. He's still like depending on how he comes back, he's still at like the bottom of this thing covered by a rock, like, and our friends are in like immediate danger. So I'm interested to know how this is gonna play out. But hopefully Marasai, Steris, hopefully they get their day. I hope Malon's okay. Like I hope the spikes are recovered soon and that they can put them back, because that she's a fun character. I'd hate for her to be kind of destroyed at this point. Also I feel like Tensun would be pretty pissed off about that, but anyway, yeah, so interested definitely to see where it goes.
Actually, regardless of whether Malon comes back, I feel bad for the poor Mistwraith who was Malon, like stuck in, because they're not super intelligent creatures. They just wander around looking for food, and she's not going to find any food up here.
No, she's just going to be stuck blobbing around. So it's not great.
I like the idea about a King's Cross Station. Let's get some answers. Like just put Harmony up there and be like, okay, tell us what the hell is going on, because it's been a while.
When it's crazy magical like that, I don't mind exposition so much. It's like it's okay as a tool when you're kind of giving us this, like, well, this character wants answers and you can give them to him. So I'm not as like harsh on that kind of Deus Ex Machina type of thing, exposition wise, when it's done in that manner.
Wouldn't it be sick if Wax comes in and he finds Harmony like playing chess with this other figure, and Wax assumes that it's Kelsia, and like they're talking back and forth and they're arguing and stuff, and Wax is like, should I just go? And then the other guy just eventually says, oh no, I'm gonna win, and he gets up and walks away, and Wax goes, man, Kelsia's a dick, and Harmony looks at him and just goes, oh, that's not Kelsia, that's Trell.
That would be interesting, actually. I like this. Regardless of who it is, I like this idea of like God chess going on somewhere.
Sure.
Okay, for next time, we're reading 2 chapters, 28 and 29, and it's interesting. These next 2 sections, we're reading 2 chapters next time, and then 2 chapters in the epilogue the time after that. So we have 2 more episodes left in this book, and they're about equal size, but they're also, I think these are the smallest sections that we've done since, I'm looking back through the list, I think since Secret History.
Oh, wow.
Like section 1 or something of Secret History was like about this same size. So these are not big sections of reading, which is why I was talking about last time I almost broke up this next one and put 1 chapter in this episode and 1 chapter in the next episode, just to make one slightly longer instead of having 2 small ones. But chapter 27 was such a great place to end that I couldn't bring myself to do it. So 2 relatively quick episodes left, and we will have finished all of the existing Mistborn stuff. And really the timing will be pretty good, because we'll probably have to skip next week because I will be at Disney World and I don't think I'll be able to record. I should be able to record the week after that. So that means that we'll be right about, like, the last episode of this book will come out right about the week that the next Mistborn book comes out.
Oh, wow. Good timing.
So whether we end up reading that next, I don't know yet, but it'll be for everyone listening to the show and using this to help their reread before the new book comes out. The timing will be really perfect. So that's cool. I don't have any of the emails I want to read this time, because we have a couple, but they're like for the end of the book, basically. We have, let me check the new reviews. This one is, the title says, great for those new to Sanderson. It is from LOZZD 1234567 from Ireland.
Oh, cool. Does it say what part?
No, it's just Apple Podcasts Ireland.
Yeah, okay.
Found this podcast when I first started Sanderson about a year ago. It's great for people making their way through the Cosmere for the first time and felt like I was sharing the first time experience with friends.
That's lovely. That's a lovely, lovely review. Let's see. Allomantic powers. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm trying to think of a good one. You know what? One of my favorite allomantic powers, even though it's subtle, is the smoker power. So I'm gonna call you Smoker, man. That was a great one.
Okay. Enjoy smoking. That doesn't sound good. Just
Smoke. Are you smoking yet?
We have 4 new patrons since the last time
Sweet.
Joe was handing out powers. So
Yeah.
let's go down that list. The first one is Josh at the Ska level.
Josh at the Ska level, huh? Josh, you're a sentry, my friend. You store that wakefulness.
Yeah, that's good. I don't know if we used that one yet.
I bet we have, but it's fine. It's a good one.
The next one is Garrison, also Ska level.
Garrison, wow, I should have called him the sentry. That would have been funny. Nah, for you, let's see. You are a connector. We don't see a lot of Duralumin. We don't see a lot of Duralumin.
So
or Duralumin.
That's the kind of metal that gets used in those the translation.
Yeah, they connect people. That makes sense, right?
Yep. Well, I mean, the translation medallions, I guess, connect him to the land or whatever is what he said.
So that makes him think that he's. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a cool one. Okay. Next one is a longtime user of the Discord. Talked to them a lot on the Discord actually, but they've just joined up as a patron. It is Retro Rocket.
Oh, Retro Rocket. Yeah, Retro sent emails too, right?
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, Retro. Ah, sweet. Retro Rocket.
Sorry, at the misting level, I should
mention. Misting level. Yeah, Retro Rocket. You're a fire soul. You got a lot of warmth and you store it.
There you go, man. Hope you enjoy storing your warmth there. And the last one is a Shard of Adonalcium level.
Ooh.
Although they upped their pledge considerably from that.
Oh, wow.
Very generous is Jaymee.
Jaymee, your generosity has earned you the faring power of being pinnacle. You're at the pinnacle.
So thank you, patrons. We really appreciate everyone joining. For anyone who is thinking about it or wondering about the Patreon, as of this record, I'm up to chapter 10 on releasing the Bastille versus the Evil Librarian chapter.
Look at you.
Live reactions. So this is the most recent episode is also the first one that is multiple chapters instead of just one chapter. I started doing 3 chapters at a time. So this was 8, 9, 10. And I think that only leaves three or four more episodes before that book is done. So that's what is being released now for our patrons is me reading the newest Brandon Sanderson book, Bastille versus the Evil Librarians, and reacting to the chapters. And soon we will be getting the same for The Lost Metal, which is releasing next month.
Ooh.
And using that as a transition, Joe and I will be at Dragonsteel Minicon for the con.
The release, right? Of The Lost Metal.
Yep, ends with the release party for The Lost Metal.
Nice.
So we will be there for that. Be on the lookout. I think the decision is that we're gonna do some T-shirts so that people can recognize us and come up and be like, hey, we're gonna have some promotional items to hand out. You can come up and get some if you're interested, and spot us walking around the con. So we hope to talk to lots of listeners while we're there.
If you guys can make it to Utah, I think they've got some more badges up for resale, right?
They do, yeah. They released some more badges. So
yeah, so it's not too late to get in on the action. But he and I will definitely be there.
I've signed up for most of the events do not require like tickets, but I have signed myself up for a couple of the ones that did. I managed to get in there. I think 2 different events, and they both had 1 ticket left when I got there. So I snapped them up, but they're going to be so. I think they are both board game events. So you guys may may get to play against me in. Well, let me look and see.
We're with you if it's cooperative.
I don't think they were, but let me look in.
No.
and double checks here. So I got into Sagrada, I believe, which is a game like there were only 4 spots available for that. So I got lucky getting in on that one. Sagrada, and then I wanted to get in on the Stormlight Archive Call to Adventure because I have that game and it's a lot of fun, but there were 2 different ones of those and they filled up quick. I think the other one I got was Codenames Cosmere Edition. I might be wrong about that, but I think, yep, I got that. So those are the 2 games that I will be playing in addition to, whatever other events that we attend while we're at the con. So if you're playing one of those, I will, I guess Codenames is like a team one. So yeah,
Codenames, usually is a team's game.
Somebody's going to be on my team, hopefully. Maybe it'll be.
Yeah, maybe so. Could be you, person listening right now.
Yeah. So we really hope to see you guys there. We gonna have fun. I hope at this. I've never been to Utah before, so maybe I'll get the chance to wander around, try some restaurants, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
at the same time.
I haven't been to Utah either. It might be fun.
So if you'd like to send us an email, we didn't read any this time, so I can't finish that sentence. I'm sorry. If you'd like to send us an email, the email address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. If you'd like to join as a patron, you can find our Patreon under the Sanderlanche podcast. There's links from our Podbean page, or you can just Google it or search on Patreon. It comes up easily enough. It's not that common a word, so we're not terribly difficult to find most of the time. Yeah. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, all those sorts of places as well. Music by Miracle of Sound. Like I said, 2 chapters for next time, and then 3 chapters, essentially 2 chapters in a blog the time after that. So if you're following along, that is what we will be reading next. And as I also said, we will be skipping next week because I will be at Disney World enjoying spending some time with the kids. So no new episode next week. We'll be back the week after that to work on finishing off the last couple episodes of the Bands of Mourning. And then what will we move on to next? I don't know. I'm going to have to read The Lost Metal before I decide if that is the next thing we can move to. So this is going to be
very different. It's like a not an impasse. It's like a crossroads of the show. Like, what are we going to do?
It really is. And it actually, I may have to figure that out exactly what we're going to do next before the book comes out, because we'll have to record an episode. So we may end up going to like a short story or something, I think.
Yeah, just to fill in some
time. For
at
least a week or 2, yeah.
Yeah, give you time to read through the book.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and even if we decide to get it, I've got to buy the book, and it's the Australian book shipping actually takes a little while sometimes. Like
that's true.
A week or so before they get it after I order it.
That's true. Yeah. Could you get them a digital copy? Would that be possible?
Yeah, but they don't like reading the digitals. So.
Oh, I know they don't like it. I'm just saying.
But I actually probably when it comes out, I'll just order it for them anyway, regardless of when we read it. Then they should.
Yeah, that way they have it
when we get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so yeah, that's where we're moving to next. They mentioned we ended up reading 3 short stories while you were gone, and so they were like, maybe Joe should read those short stories and do like his own little record of his reaction to them. So we could put that on the Patreon, and then he'll be caught up in not.
Well, I have to be honest. I did listen to the first podcast while I was gone, so that one would be out because I did kind of hear all about that sci-fi story, not knowing that you guys had discussed that. I went ahead and listened to it, and so yeah, it sounded kind of interesting. But yeah, I did kind of hear the ending already. So
well, that's fair.
Another Patreon note for you guys. It's been a long time coming. The voice work has been recorded. May need to do some touch-up stuff. I don't know. But the voice work has been recorded for the Possum Hunters episode, so that is still in the works. Yep. I know it was promised many moons ago, but we are working on it, and it should be out at some point.
Yep. I think last week was the first time that I mentioned that actually.
You did? I haven't listened to that episode.
It had been, it hadn't even come out yet, but as of the time we're recording this. So, but yeah, it has been recorded, and as of last week, I was like, every minute of my editing time has either been on an episode of the Sanderlanche or on the chapters that I was putting out for
for Patreon.
Since then, I have started editing, but not made much progress because once again, I was still working on the episode that'll be coming out Monday. Yeah. So I've made a small step forward on that, but yes, we're hoping to get that out at some. It's gonna come out at some point. We're hoping to get it at some point. Yeah, hopefully sometime soon is when we will get the Possum Hunters adventure for our patrons. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, get ready. It's coming. I hope you guys have enjoyed the content. I hope our patrons have enjoyed the stuff that I've put out so far. As I've said before, if you have suggestions or anything, please feel free. I am more than happy to try to change up stuff or take it under advisement if you've got some suggestions for how to improve that. I'm calling you. I guess you may not know it because I don't know if I mentioned it, but I'm calling it Before the Sanderlanche since it's me reading books before they would have come out on the podcast.
Oh, really?
So I was like, if somebody has a better title than that, I'm willing to listen. But that's what I came up with. So.
Yeah, the Sanderlanche Files. I always like a title that says Files in it, but that's just my thing.
If we do you reading these other two short stories and react to them, that might be what to call that one, since they are stuff that has been on the show. And so okay.
Right.
Yeah,
or like if it's me specifically, you can call it like the Sanderlanche : the Joe Files.
That's good too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. 2 chapters for next time. Although no episode next week, as I said, it'll be the week after that. Thank you for, I know we just had a skip last week also, so thanks for sticking with us, guys. Things can get crazy. What can you do? But we appreciate everyone, especially the patrons. You guys are amazing. We love that you feel so passionately that you want to support the show in that way. But for everyone who listens, who sends emails, whatever you do, we really appreciate it. And wasing to the time of next. Colo?
Steam train running on a reckless rail, speeding right into the rising gale. Shuttle harder 'cause we're on your tail. London's bloody cry.